So I got a little off track because yesterday we had an epic storm. I don't know if you can see how much snow we have, but crazy amounts of snow and wind. It really, I'll put in below in the comments, I'll put a picture that Henry took from a website called Null School, Earth Null School, I think. And I'm not sure what that website, who founded it or who started it, but they have beautiful graphics. They take all the wind and they put a color to it, so you can really see on this particular video that yesterday's nor'easter blizzard was shaped very much like a hurricane. And I guess I think the definition of a bombogenesis is, or a bomb cyclone, is that it drops 24 millibars in 24 hours, and this storm dropped 40 in 24 hours. So it was huge. And I don't know how much we got for snow, but 2 feet, something like that. And parts of Providence got 3 feet or a little more, plus the wind, and it was whiteout conditions. So it definitely was kind of a crazy day. So that definitely got me off track. And I've also been, going to the barn every couple of hours. So, I wanted to talk about getting through weather, because weather is one of those things that you don't really think about in terms of how challenging it can be for the horses. And we have a contact here at the farm who has a congenital issue, and every time there's a change in barometric pressure, they get a migraine from that congenital issue, and there's nothing to do about it. It's genetic. It's not anything that can be fixed, quote unquote. But he's very aware of when there are changes in barometric pressure. And so when I go through a storm like that, there's always a lot of stress around horses and weather. I think with the wind, they tend to not be able to hear as well. And so I think that's one reason why wind gets them a little on edge. But also, they go through the same challenges that humans go through in terms of barometric pressure, sometimes causing headaches. I don't think it causes a headache in a horse, but I think it causes discomfort, especially arthritic horses and things like that. So yesterday was a busy day, not a stressful day because everything went well, but still a busy day because, we were at the barn almost every 2 hours out in weather to do it. We were cozy as could be here in the Airstream. It's very, very warm and comfortable in here. It rocks a little bit. I'm just trying to show you what the outside looks like. It's a beautiful day today. We're supposed to get 3 more inches of snow tomorrow, which seems cruel, but it's February, so there you go. But I guess my point is that, management of horses is one of those things where it's relatively straightforward on the one hand, but they are also very sensitive. So a day like yesterday, we spent the bulk of the day just catering to them, making sure stalls were clean, they had water. They were all inside, of course, but they do get used to human companion and that rhythm of that day. And they have each other. Everyone was in, so they had their whole herd, which definitely calms them down. But having them have lots of extra hay, because when their head goes down and they're chewing, they release endorphins. So that really helps keep them relaxed in stressful or potentially stressful weather. And I think, the other part about it too is just being attentive on going there every couple of hours. The barn's not far, but yesterday it took a lot of effort to get there. One person had to snow blow a path because the snow was so high, it was up almost to my knees, and that makes walking through it really, really difficult. And so one person, the owner, actually did a snowblower like 4 times yesterday, and the wind was so high that by the time we were done, the path would fill right back in with snow. So it was grueling work because there was ice underneath. So, all these little things add up in terms of taking care of horses and being on top of where they're at. And, they're in the barn and they don't necessarily take in what's going on outside. They're very present, much more so than humans in general. But they do appreciate, I think, the companionship and being checked in on when they're on edge a little bit like that. So even though it takes a little extra effort to do it, it's well worth doing. And that's just one of those things that I think I know for me, I've gone through phases of they'll be fine, And then other phases of, I just need to be a little more attentive to the fact that they need someone around for a while just to make sure that they're grounded. And interestingly, I'll share this person's video at some point. I was watching a video about from an anesthesiologist about where do we go, where does our consciousness go when we're under anesthesia. And there's actually a tubule in your neurons that has these I can't remember what they're called, but they're a feature, and they vibrate at a certain vibration, which she said this is really, as an anesthesiologist, she's really seeing the marriage of the intersection rather of biology and quantum physics. And it's really, her videos are really interesting because she's talking about where are you when you are under anesthesia, because you don't die, you're not sleeping, but you're also not present. And it's really kind of an interesting thing. And so on my point to bringing that up is that we do all vibrate at a certain energy. If someone comes into the room and you get a good vibe from them or you get a bad vibe, they come in and there's suddenly the party's alive and a lot of fun, or they walk in and suddenly everyone stops talking and the mood is somber and not so much fun. That certainly happens in work environments. It definitely happens in barns. And so on a day like yesterday where the storm was so intense, I think it's really important as human beings that we be present, we be, as cheerful about things as we can be and attentive to them. And I think that's just been a process that I've gone through to get to that place. And I'm not always there, of course, nothing's 100%, but I certainly feel like it's worth the extra effort when you are in a stressful thing. And I think horse shows are like that too, but horse shows, you're kind of around them all the time. There's a lot of stimulus, there's a lot of stuff to look at. In a storm, they're in a confined space. They can't really see much. They can hear a lot and they can smell a lot and they can feel a lot, but they can't really see a lot, which, the horses don't use their sight all the time. But as a creature of flight, being in a confined space and not being able to leave creates its own stress, creates its own pressure. So, it's a tricky mix, but all this to say, I hope you made it through the storm. Let me know how your horses did. And our guys are all fine, which is great. They all got turned out today. Fortunately, people dug out the stall doors because we had drifts that were as tall as me. They weren't very deep, thick. They were, probably 3 feet, but that's still a lot of snow. And there wasn't really a way to get heavy equipment in there to do it. So it was done manually. And but the horses were out and they were all very excited to be out, which was kind of, happy. And then we just brought them up and lunged them today. So anyway, just meditations on weather, I guess. But I'll put a picture in the comment of what the storm looked like, because it was quite beautiful when you look at it by the way this app looks at it. It's really kind of a cool thing. I hope you had a great day today. It's beautiful today, obviously. And I hope you all fared well if you were in the path of this beast, because it was a beast. I think Providence got something like 38 inches of snow. So that's kind of crazy. It was the wind that was kind of nuts. Anyway, that's it for today.